Hello, it's Malcolm here, and welcome to this video. This is like a fly on the wall sort of thing. Basically, I'm going to try and come up with a system without even pre-planning it, and I really haven't pre-planned this. What I'm going to try and do is I want a chase system, okay, to follow through the winter. Now, we've only at the moment we've only got the summer chases to go on until I get the new data in the SPB System Builder, which will be in the next few weeks. We've only got since the 4th of April, which is about 5 months to go on, but you know, it's quite interesting, and you know, we can follow it through the winter and see what happens. I've got several hurdle systems, and I've got a couple of ideas on chase, but this video is going to be about literally trying to figure out a chase system. Now, I'm not sure how long it's going to be. It could be 20 minutes, it could be half an hour, it could be several hours. So it's up to you whether you follow along or how much you follow along with it. But I hope it gives you an insight to, you know, how I think about creating systems. Whether I think about them the right way or not is questionable, but this is you know, basically I'm just going to go into it and sort of follow along how I would normally do it. Now, a couple of prerequisites, is that the right word? I can't think actually whether it is or not, but a couple of things that you should know. That's probably a better way of explaining before we start, in case you don't know much about the system builder. These are based on our ratings. Okay, we rate every horse in the race, normally somewhere between minus 150 and 150. It depends, and then we sort them by their rating. So the top rated horse will become the first rated, and if like it was an 8 runner race, the 8th runner horse would be the last rated or 8th rated, and then everybody in between. We've got a way of discerning when there's or sort of ordering them when there's more than one runner with the same rating, which I hope is a little bit unique, but it is the system we use for all of them, so it should be consistent as well. So you can actually choose like the first rated runners or the second rated, third rated, or you can actually base it on their actual rating. So I could say I only want first rated runners as long as they're between 0 and 20 or something like that, or I can forget the rating system altogether and go all runners. So basically it's forgetting the rating system, minus 1000 to 1000. This will just search on every horse in the race now, or I can still use a rating system and say, well, okay, I'll search on all runners as long as they're between such and such. So I think I've covered most scenarios when it comes to the rating system. For ease of use and speed, it's sometimes better to start off with like a rating, because there's quite a few races already in the system, and searches can take a little while. There is a way of speeding them up by using no grid, but I'm just going to carry on as I normally would. So the first thing we want to do is go to race type and chase. Okay, so we then can say, okay, what else are we going to look at? So we could just theoretically say, okay, we're going to have a look at all novice chases, okay, and see what the outcome is. So all novice chases minus 16. Okay, there haven't been that many, 73 selections over the winter season. So that's first rated. That's first rated horses in every chase. So there's been basically 73 races over the summer period that first rated has actually run in. Sometimes if there's if one of the first rated is a non-runner, we don't replace it. So there could be a few more than that. So we could test and see, well, what if we only backed it if it was a favourite? Now, as you can see, that's actually given us 2 points, but it hasn't done much. Or only back it if it's not favourite. We can do the same thing. Okay, and that's minus 19. We could then actually go through each rating figure to see if we can find something that works. So there's one possibility. Second rated, show a profit of 20 points over the winter season. Again, like there's 74 selections. We could try the favourite again, or we could try if they're not favourite. So it gives us a little bit more if they're not favourite. So basically, if we backed the second rated in every chase race, every novice chase race over the summer, we'd have made 23 points profit, which in some place, it's not that bad. I mean, it didn't start off very well, but it's boosted up. Now we could also go through each type of race and say, is there any more points there? Well, there's 34 on handicap. There's nothing on maidens, but there wouldn't have been many, as you can see, so it's hardly conclusive. And there's nothing on other. So we could say, well, let's stick with novice and handicap. Okay, and we got 57 points over the summer period. We could then say, well, let's just have a quick look at some of the other ratings as well, see if there's any other profit or one. See, the third rated is actually produced 137 points. Now you'd have to decide whether you want to bet on two runners in a race, because if you selected second and third, you'd actually be backing two runners in every race, just about. But apart from this first 100 points loss, it's done pretty good. So we could go through all of them. See, fourth rated has got no profit. Fifth rated, I'd normally go up to about 10th. I haven't really gone much further than that. You could start looking at lay systems as well when you see minus. That doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. But we're sort of getting to the 8th and there's still no profit. There's a little bit of profit there on the 8th. You'll find this, it's more probably to do with value than anything. As you go up the ratings, these become more outsiders, so their prices are a bit higher. So if they've had a winning streak, they've probably had a good average winning odds. So you can see there 17.1. So they've had 10 wins. Not a particularly good strike rate, but the price has been so good. But as you can see, it's had those wins and on its way back down again now, so we don't know what would happen. And then we could obviously go through all those again. So we go back just to first, just have a quick look at that one as well. There's 55 points on the first. There's 57 on the second, and there's 127 on the third. So we could put those together, or we could deal with them in separate things, or separate ways. Now, I always think it's better to look at these systems separately. The more you can separate them, the better. I mean, most people want to find profit as quick as possible. So a lot of people will say, well, it's only 3 runners in a race. Let's go, to do for that and see what happens. So this search will be a little bit longer than normal, and we got 239 points. Still got this losing streak at the start, which is quite interesting. But then from then on, it's gone up and up and up. Although we get a little bit of downturn here, but I'm not sure whether or why that's happening. We could then say, well, let's recheck the types of races again. So we could go through. So novice in this case is actually not particularly good this time. So we could be on a handicap system, which wouldn't be a bad idea. We stick to handicap races only. We've got 268 points. And notice now that losing streak isn't so bad. We'll just check out maidens. Don't think there would be many of those. No. And check all the other basically races. And minus. So we could stick to handicap. So you can see where I'm building up from now. Now we're still probably talking about 3 runners in every race. Okay, so we've got to be a little bit careful. In fact, you'll see that sometimes it's only 2 and sometimes it's only 1, but there will be races where there are 3. So you've got to be aware of that, like that race there, just second, sixth and third. Now I might also run a place test just to check, because if you're on free runners in the place market, you've probably got a good chance, and there's really no profit there, so it's probably not worth talking about. Okay, so we're stuck with that. Well, we're not stuck, but we're on Chase Handicap. We found a system which is basically got 200 odd points. Okay, now I'd normally make a note of that somewhere, just in fact I can do it here. Sorry, I'll just get a notepad up. So I'd get a notepad and I'd just quickly jot down Chase Handicap, and I'd write down the figures, or I'd copy them into a document. I'm going to move this over, it's easier for me. So we got 835 selections, 128 wins, 707 losers, 268. Because I know it runs in that order, I just always just type it in that order, and then I know what I'm talking about. And a 32.2% strike rate, return on investment, and average winning odds. I normally put that one down as 8.03 as well, just so I've got an idea. And these are not favourites. Okay, if you notice that we've still got not favourites ticked, which is quite interesting. So we tick favourites as well, and you can see that clearly that's is a good idea, because if we did that, we'd probably find our profit. Well, our profit should go down to 200 and something pretty low, 202. So we're on not favourites, so we should make a note of that as well. Okay, so the runner mustn't be favourite, basically, which we can do with the grey spot without any issues. Okay, so 268.84. Okay, so we could start naturally, or actually looking at different race features. Like we could actually start looking, down whether they're amateurs, handicap. I call them sub systems or sub race types. I don't know how they all work with each other. I mean, obviously I know about the races and that, but I don't actually know if it's a handicap excuse me, auction or whatever. Basically, some races will have like handicap auction or handicap beginners or something like that, and some of them don't. So that's how I split it up. So if they've got none, you can click that there, and it will go through every race that is just a handicap. Okay, and as you can see, there's 138 points profit. It hasn't really done us any favours. Or we can go through and see which ones actually produce profit. There is a handicap amateur. I don't know if there's an apprentice. No. Well, there haven't been any races that are apprentice anyway. Auction, no. Beginners. Handicap, that makes nope. Claiming. These are chase races as well, remember, so it's handicap chase. So conditional, fillies, no, hunter chase. So that rings a bell, doesn't it? Nope. I'm thinking about the other ones. So as you can see, we're probably going to end up with, well, listed races. There haven't been many, but they've given us 41 points, which is quite handy. What I normally use this one for is there's one particular or several particular ones that kill the profit, and we're not actually finding that. So a lot of the time I don't bother, because it's just hardly worth it. Unless there's one particular type of racing that's actually killing the profit for some reason, there's no point in buggering about with it really. So I would say we just leave that out. Okay, so we could look at age. Now these are chases, so I don't think there would be any 3-year-olds, 2 or 3-year-olds, because they don't really start chasing until about 4, I don't think. So we could look at 4-year-olds on their own. Okay, so we haven't got any 4, 5. So I must make a note of that. So 5-year-olds have actually given us a minus figure, but we're talking about 7 races. It's so hard to make a real good assumption on that. 6-year-olds have done well. See, sometimes you can just dig down into one age group and play around with that if you want to. So we're up 6, 7, 8 have been fine. 9-year-olds, you can make a note of each one obviously if you want to. I sometimes do. See, we're up to 10-year-olds. How well are 10-year-olds doing? See, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Some of the older horses, which you would class as getting older, especially on the if you were talking about flat, you wouldn't be too happy about being on horses this age, but we're still seeing a profit. So basically, there are no ages that are giving us trouble at the moment, apart from 13. So we could argue, again, there's not too many to go on, 14 races, but if we do see a pattern up here, so basically the oldest horses we got in this particular, well, we could have 15-year-olds, I suppose. Yeah, we got one 15. I thought we had one 15-year-old. So again, is it worth worrying about them at the moment? Probably something we should look at later on. Another thing we can look at is last time out. Okay, this is how they run the last time out. Now, -2 is that they haven't, so I'm sure there probably aren't many, yeah, if any, like that. -1 is that they didn't finish the last race, and as you can see, that's actually produced 82 points. Again, that bottom bit, whatever's happening there, but there's 82 points of profit on that one alone. So we can have a look at, in fact, I've got to sort this out, because what it should really do is go -1, 0, and then 987, but it actually goes the other way around. So I'm going to sort that so you can put, because basically if you put in 0, that's they finished outside the top 9. But the next one you have to jump to is 1, because obviously you're going backwards, or forward, -1, 0. See, now, so you cannot do a search in my system at the moment where you use just -1, 0, 987. The only way it works is -1 to 4 or something like that. So it's something I've got to sort out in the system, because what we might find is, and sometimes do, is that the first, second and thirds do actually do quite well. Again, third, so we're going up, see. So in this particular case we're going to find it difficult to not use, see, really we don't want to use first and second last time out. So that's something that needs to be addressed in the SPB System Builder quite quickly, and I will do that. So continuing upwards, I think what we're seeing is a system that is giving us profit because of the average winning odds being reasonably good, and this is what concerns me slightly, is what we're going to see in the summer period, in the winter period, when there's a lot more people on the these types of races, because they're the only races available. So yeah, basically, if we got rid of first and second last time out, we'd probably have a bit more profit, but we can't do that at the moment. So we have to stick with what we've got. What I really want to do is turn everything like this, where you get multiple choices. So I could pick 1, 3 and 7, and we could have a quick look at classes actually, see if there's anything. There's no class 6s probably. So class 5, as you can see on its own, has given us quite a bit of profit. Class 4 again has given us profit. Now class 3 hasn't, so if that continues downwards, yeah, see, so although there won't be many of these ones, but then class 1 has given us 53 points, so we could say 4, 5. See, this is where we can do multiple choice, which is so much more handy. See, now we're up to, from 268 to 300 now, and that is starting to look a bit better down the bottom. And this would start to really interest me now, because you know, we're seeing a definite change. What I tend to do is, every so often when I've played around with ideas, I go back over some of the information that I've already done to check that it hasn't changed anything. So where we got 1, 2, 3 at the moment, I might go back and say, well, let's just have a quick check. And you know, we've got 101 points there still. We've got 53 points there, and we've got 151 there. So you know, and sometimes you can go back over these and find there is more profit, but at the moment we'll stick with this. Now, one way of cutting down the selections is actually narrowing down into each individual runner. We tried it with last time out, but we can't really do that at the moment. But we could do it with, say, days since last run. So if we get a bit more specific about that. Now, days since last run is obviously, you know, when did they last run a race. This particular option doesn't actually look at any particular type of race they may have run. Sorry, a bit of a pause there, I was thinking. But it just says, well, when was the last time they run? So it could have been, you know, on a completely different type of race or whatever. We're just looking at the last time they ran. Presumably, if they've ran, they're reasonably fit, or they're race fit, or whatever you like. So you could put in 1 just to see. That actually tells us that they have obviously run lately. And we got 307 points. Now we could say, well, okay, let's have a look at really fit horses, so ones that have, you know, ran recently, and see if that helps. See, that's dropped profit right down, but I mean, it's still pretty well right down. We've lost about 30 points. But sometimes if we narrow in a bit, we can get that back. We have to sort of play around and just see where it really is. See, now we're coming back in a little bit here, so it may be that it's not the top end that we have to worry about. Let's have a look at the bottom end a bit. So if we got 5, I'll put that to 999 a bit, so it gives me a better idea of what's going on. Yeah, so when we brought it down to like 60, let's try 70 and see what happens. Yeah, see, that's 317 points. That's a bit better. And we can have another play around with this just to see. Sometimes horses that run quite quickly again are fancied but don't actually do anything. See, so if we go back down to 1, yeah, so it was somewhere around, like, let's just try 2. Sometimes you have to dig around a bit and play around with ideas, but you've got to be prepared at some stage to re-look at what you're doing. So when we went to 5, I think we got to 317, didn't we? Not that it matters a lot. Yeah, so we went back down to 0. $316. So it's not really sort of, well, there wouldn't be many zeros in there anyway, thinking about it, would there? Because most of these horses would have at least run sometime because they got form. So that's probably a little bit of a silly search on a 0. But sometimes you do find, you know, that you can find some profit by playing around with days since last run. But in this particular case, I don't think we're going to find much. And I always like to weigh it up and say, is it really worth? Oh, well, there you go. See, 321, let's go 90. 125. So somewhere up here is a cut-off point where it drops the profit down again. 340. It's interesting. Let's go to 120 then. See what I mean? You can find some interesting things sometimes. 343. 140. So we've hit our limit around the, I think probably we're going 200. Let's see what happens. 327. So we've hit our limit around the 140, I suppose, mark. Let's just try 150. Yeah, so it's somewhere around there. So that's given us a few more points profit. I'll just go back and see if there's any more by doing that. Yeah, see, we only pick up 1 point, so it's hardly worth playing around with it. So we're at 343 now, and we've made that graph a little bit better. We're not. We actually had that initial. We must have had an initial good win, and then it sort of went downhill for a little while. So if we go back up, I suppose. Yeah, see, we won on the first day at 30 points, and then it had a bit of a bad run, but then it, you know, picked up a few days later. So it's or a day later, in fact. Yeah, it's and then it started to come back in. So you know, it started off with an initial good run and then went down, but then it's come back up again. Sometimes I might go through the beaten favourites and things like that just to see if there's anything there, because you can sometimes find these little subsystems that you could run on their own. See, like, you know, there's an 81 point course distance winner there. That's crazy, but they, I mean, again, see, now there's a classic example. Distance winners, okay, at Chase. That will cut down your selections in every race. You'll still get 1 or 2, you may still get 3, but on a lot of occasions you'll probably find you only have one runner in the race, because it's got to be a distance winner as well. You could also have a look at fell last time out. I've got to update these actually, there's not enough of these unplaced or pulled. Sorry, we should have probably unclicked that to do it, so we got a wider search. So pulled alone makes profit. Unseated doesn't make anything, and nor does foul. So you know, we've got distance winners we make a bit of profit on and stuff like that, but they all seem to click up, so we probably don't want to use them. We could rerun our search just quickly, just to check over, make sure we're still on the right track. Novice handicap is where we got the money, isn't it? Or we got the profit. Yeah, maiden probably won't be many, and other. Yeah, see, we're still on handicaps, non-favourite handicaps, which basically have run, because I don't think that's zero account, so they basically run in the last 150 days. So I mean, unless you want to start going down again, so we could go through these again to see if there's any profit there. We could look at the number of runners in a race. I'm always a bit unsure about this one myself. We could drop that down to straight. I mean, it's a backing system, and people say, oh, you know, you want to go for races with less runners. So we got 343 profit at the moment. So, you know, that's given us another 10 points profit. So let's drop it down to 15. That's dropped the profit right down. So take it to 25. Again, you've got to play around with these numbers really. That's 351. So what was the other one? I can't remember if it was higher than 351. That was about the same. So unless 19 gives us a small profit. 356. I'd be a little bit wary about these, but yeah. So I don't know. Stick to 19. We know it's somewhere between it. I don't know whether putting the number of runners up will help. 365 now. Yeah, so I mean that's the sweet spot for this system, between 5 and 19 runners. That might change over time though. It's very difficult. I'm always worried about that one because you don't know quite how it's going to affect it over time. We've done last time out, we've done age. We could look at distance, but I really don't want to. I've got to improve that distance one sooner or later. We could have a look at going, but I mean, we're going to see probably soft races coming up, or if it's freezing cold, hard races, I suppose, or firm. So, because we've not had any through the summer, good is probably the average, isn't it? So good is still showing a profit. We could have a look at days of the week. I sometimes like doing that just for the fun of it. If we click all of them and Sunday, and then unticking them, we're just testing that one day. So Mondays, there's profit there. It's a Monday system. Tuesdays, I've actually got a system that does quite well like that. There's a bit of profit there, up and down, but it's going up. Wednesdays, Thursdays, good day Thursday, Friday, not much profit on a Friday, but there's profit, so you have to sort of say, well, I don't know, it's hardly worth not doing it. And in fact Saturday is profit as well, and Sunday is a good day. So we've got a Sunday system. So, you know, there's no point leaving any of those days out really. Might as well just go on all of them, because it's not going to make a lot of difference to the system. So we end up with this chase system, which is basically a non-favourite, as long as the runner's a non-favourite, which you can do with a grey or spot. I can probably bear with me why I knock one up. 2 secs. I know you're seeing silly things going on, but there's one. I'm just going to open it up and show you how you do this, just in case you're wondering. You get this link, obviously, which you can use with a grey hole spot. Any grey hole spot will use it. GHB Lite, grey hole spot URL mini bot, which we're improving all the time. My machine has got so many programs running in the background, I'm afraid that this anyway, all you have to do is go to options, sessions, server tips, and put your link in there. Make sure that's CSV, and make sure use my options settings. But if we go to options, oh, that's typical, this one's in auto mode, so I'm gonna, oh god, I'm going to shut it down and put it back in manual mode, which is where we need it to be, because we're going to do this manually. Yes, no. I've only got that white window open because it's so much easier for viewing, because I've got loads of stuff on my screen and it gets a bit stupid when you're trying to look at what's going on, but you're looking at my computer screen instead, and I've got lots of software on there. I keep meaning to clean it all off, but don't really get time to do it. You know what it's like. So here we're in manual mode, so same thing, you can put the link in, but if you go to options, okay, and down here you can unclick exclude favourites, or you can tick exclude favourites. So if that runner is a favourite, then it won't back it, which is quite cool. So you just have to do that, and set up Grailspot however else you need to do it. But so that's how you do that particular thing, just exclude favourites, and that link does the rest. That will select the handicap. So this is it's the 19th when I'm shooting this. So let's just see if there's any selections today. So there are no actual selections today anyway. And yesterday, were there any? Just have a quick check. No, so there were none yesterday as well. So it's going to be it's not going to be an everyday system, but how many do as we go into the jump system, the jump season, or the national hunt season, then there will obviously be more and more races, because that's basically what's going to be going on. So there'll probably be more than there has been through the summer period. Yeah, so that's basically how I created the chase system. And I really didn't have an idea before we started, but I'm always quite confident with SPB System Builder that I might find something. And I like specific systems like this where we're looking at just the chase races. More and more that's how I'm going to show the selections. At first I bunched them together as flat hurdle, chase and all the rest of it, but as I get more experience with the software and as it gets better with more features and more ways of searching the data, and there's a lot of ways coming along, the more likely I am to just say, right, this is a chase system, or in this case a chase handicap system, which is the way to be. Probably it would even be better to just select one of the ratings, as I said earlier, and maybe even one of the classes. So you could in effect go, right, we're only going to go class 4, and one, but there's no matches, so we could go class 5 and see what happens. Oh, that's interesting then. So sorry, 3. That's what you sometimes find, is that there were no and that's how you can do silly things, because I just noticed that good's still highlighted. So there was no good class 3, 4 or 5. So yeah, sorry, you can obviously search on each what's going on here? And again, see, it's yesterday only. I bet you're screaming at me going, it's yesterday only, it's yesterday only. Oh, I can feel so stupid sometimes. So yeah, we can go through each rating and each class, if you like, to see whether that brings in more or less profit. So those 3 alone on first rated is 94 points. So you could watch that system, and then you could say, well, let's watch the second system, second rated, and we've got 79 points. But see where that one's a bit more up and down, and then we could watch the third. Again, a nice big 180 points there. So those could actually be on their own, and you could probably, after we've played around with this, just go quickly through and see if there's any more that we could possibly make any profit on. See, again, that's very up and down, but there's 45 points there, so it'd be probably worth looking at. Minus you can see I'm definitely doing things on the fly here, can't you? Just not worried about what I'm doing at all. Probably boring you silly. Anyway, so yeah, you can look at those separately or look at them together. The more, I always say, the more you break a system down, the better chance you've got of finding out what's going on and looking at different parts of it that could that might be going wrong later on. Even if because the SPB System Builder is updated results every day, Monday to Friday. I don't generally do it at the weekends, but Monday to Friday, although the new system that we're going over to soon will probably may well update them more often, but they're definitely Monday to Friday anyway. So you can see quite clearly that you can look at systems that you're not even following in live mode, just seeing how they perform. It might be that you can only afford to test one system at a time. Well, pick what you think is the best one, and then go and play with it and see what happens, or go and test it live using a Grail spot. You can put on 50p bets or 10p bets. I wouldn't go under 10p, but you can certainly go that low. Try it and see if you're getting similar results to what the software is giving you, which you should find. The new bot we've got coming out will actually allow you to get BSP based on whether it's favourite, second favourite, third favourite. So if you end up, because I'm going to change that favourite and not favourite, so you can select like 1 to 8 or something like that. Of course, if you really want to be clever as well, you could actually go to look at different race courses and see if there's profit on some and not others. Probably not enough races in the database to really make that worthwhile at the moment, but there's things to do there if you want to do them and to look through. I'm starting to mumble now, aren't I? Going on. Anyway, so that's how I come up with a system. Basically, I just play around. Well, I start off with an idea, as I did. I generally start off with saying, well, I want a chase system, or I want a flat system, or I want a handicap system, or I want a beat of favourite system. I give myself something to go on, because otherwise you're just searching every runner in the database, and you really don't want to do that, because that takes ages. You could even start off with apprentices or beginners or whatever, but just start off with something, or 2-year-olds, or they came 9th last time out. Whatever it is, find something to grab hold of and then go from there. That way you're not just playing around, and that can take up hours and hours. You can see, even when I've got a good idea, it can take a long time, but when you've got no idea and you just go flying in, you can end up spending hours and hours looking around. Although what I would do, if you tend to say, right, I've got a couple of spare hours, I'm just going to play, just write down everything you see. That's how I got my scratch file, is that whenever I'm testing or even playing around like this, I'll make notes after in my scratch file and say, well, I found that system and I found this system. Maybe I should be watching both of those. I mean, I'll certainly be looking at these now, because I was after a chase system and found one. But you can play around to your heart's content, and but make sure you make notes. One of the things that you tend to do is you can waste so much time doing things and then not have any notes at the end of it, and then you think, oh, I had something a bit earlier and I've forgotten what it was, and that sort of thing. So do try and make notes. It would help a lot. Okay, well, thank you for watching. I hope I didn't bore you too much. I hope I wasn't mumbling too much. Sorry about the blank places in between where I didn't realise we had go in selected and yesterday only selected, which would probably be why, when I was looking at yesterday, of course, and no, there is no records, and there probably won't be today, because I'm not sure if I had that going now. So I was just rechecking, but there are no races today or yesterday. But you know, just make notes and carry on. Okay, if you've seen that message in the corner, I was looking at that just now, thinking, no, you're going to think there's always issues with the software. There isn't. It was purely. In fact, I'll show you. There was I have several links, depending on how you get the software, and for some reason it was playing up. Both links work, but the grey horse bot owners or the lifetime owners really need to go with one link, and others with the other link. It works better. So, but it wasn't an actual issue with the software breaking down or anything like that. It was just a link, which it was solved straight away. And as soon as I find problems, I update them straight away. Okay, so thank you for watching. Bye bye, and sorry about the dog suddenly barking. Goodbye.